In this video, I'm going to introduce relative clause to you. Don't worry, this video will only cover the very basic and the introduction of relative clause. It's okay that you have never learned it before or you don't remember what it is, even you've learned it. I'll have other videos to explain relative clause in details later on. So let's take a look what relative clause is. Let's take a look at this passage. She is my neighbor. She is 25 years old. She is tall and pretty. She is a flight attendant. She doesn't need to go to work every day. She has a dog. It is called Blackie. It is a big dog. It loves playing with people. It always plays at the backyard. The backyard grows a lot of beautiful flowers. So, do you find it weird if we write like this? Will you write like this? What's the problem of this passage if you write like this? Probably you realize that all these sentences in this passage, they are just having a very basic sentence structure. Very simple sentences, right? And it's so annoying if we keep repeating she, it. We keep repeating using the pronouns in all these sample sentences. And if you're a better writer, if you can write better, you won't write like this. If you're asked to rewrite the passage, maybe you'll write like this, right? My neighbor, who is 25 years old, is tall and pretty. She, who is a flight attendant, doesn't need to go to work every day. She has a dog called Blackie. It is a big dog which loves playing with people. It always plays at the backyard, which grows a lot of beautiful flowers. So after rewriting this whole passage, all the information is still here. The paragraph is shortened, but no information is missing. And how do you feel? Do you feel more smooth when you read the passage? Instead of having a lot of simple sentences, we rewrite them in a way that can summarize information with better sentence structure. Do you agree? So what have we done here? What have we changed? Can you identify them? The changes? In fact, yes, we have used more double H words. But they are not in questions format. Double H word here is not used to ask a question. We'll talk about that later, but first, you should be aware that WH words are used to change the passage, right? My neighbor who is 25 years old, she who is a flight attendant, blah blah blah. She has a dog which is called Blackie, blah blah blah. So you can see that WH word is used. So the first change that we can identify is that the WH words. Now, what are we using the WH words for? Take a look at these sentences. The original sentence, my neighbor who is 25 years old is tall and pretty. Actually, it can be separated into two sentences, right? My neighbor is 25 years old, full stop. My neighbor is tall and pretty. So with the WH word, we are combining two sentences together to make it one sentence. From my neighbor is 25 years old, full stop. My neighbor is tall and pretty, full stop, to another sentence. My neighbor who is 25 years old is tall and pretty. Take a look at the second example. The original sentence in the passage. She, who is a flight attendant, doesn't need to go to work every day. We can also break this sentence down into two sentences. The first one can be, she is a flight attendant. And then the second one is, she doesn't need to go to work every day. So once again, with the WH word, we can combine two sentences into one. She, who is a flight attendant, doesn't need to go to work every day. The same can be applied to the following three sentences as well. For example, the third example. She has a dog which is called Blackie. If we break it down into two sentences, it will be, she had a dog, full stop. The dog is called Blackie. And we combine these two sentences into one with the WH word. She has a dog which is called Blackie. The fourth example. It is a big dog which loves playing with people. And if we break it down into two sentences, it will be, it is a big dog, full stop. It loves playing with people, full stop. Two sentences combined with WH word. And last example is the same. It always plays at the backyard which grows a lot of beautiful flowers. And originally, the two sentences can be, it always played at the backyard, full stop. The backyard grows a lot of beautiful flowers, full stop. So you can see, with the WH words, we can actually combine two sentences into one. Apart from seeing the WH words and seeing two sentences being combined into one, there's also one interesting thing with the underlined clauses. If we delete the underlined part of the sentence, can the rest of the sentence still make sense? Are they still complete sentences? Let's take a look at the first one. If I delete the underlined part, my neighbor is tall and pretty. It still makes sense, right? It's still a normal complete sentence, right? Let's take a look at the second one. If I delete the underlined part, she doesn't need to go to work every day. It makes sense. It's still one sentence. And the third one, if I delete the underlined part, she has a dog. No problem to me. The fourth one, it is a big dog. It's okay. It's a complete sentence. And last one, it always plays at the backyard. No problem at all. It's still one complete sentence. So why do we need to add that underlined part to the sentence? Take a look at the first one. If I tell you my neighbor is tall and pretty, it's fine, right? One complete sentence. Then why do I need to add the underlined part, who is 25 years old, to the sentence? Yeah, I know we're combining two sentences together, but take a look at this underlined part. If I present you this underlined part, you will know more information about the neighbor, right? You will know that the neighbor is 25 years old, right? Let's take a look at the second sentence. Without the underlined part, she doesn't need to go to work every day. Okay, fine. But with the underlined part, who is a flight attendant? We have more information. We can learn that this neighbor works as a flight attendant. The third one, she has a dog which is called Blackie. If I just write she has a dog, well, yeah, you'll know that she has a dog. But with the underlined part, we'll learn more about the dog, that the dog is called Blackie. The fourth one, it is a big dog. Okay, but if I add the underlined part, we'll know that this dog loves playing with people. And the last one as well. Yes, I know that the dog always plays at the backyard, but with the underlined part, we'll know that this backyard grows a lot of beautiful flowers. It's a beautiful backyard. So you can see that the underlined part has the WH word, helps combine two sentences into one, but also it gives extra information so that you'll learn more about the situation. And if we see clauses like this with the WH word combining two sentences into one and gives extra information, then we can consider that as relative clause. This is how you can identify a relative clause. So the underlined part here in these sentences, who is 25 years old, which loves playing with people, these are considered as relative clauses. Well, if you're still not sure what relative clause is, don't panic, because in the coming videos, in the coming parts, I'm going to introduce different terms to you, including relative pronouns like subject relative pronoun, object relative pronouns. And relative clauses can be categorized into defining clause and non-defining relative clause. So don't worry, don't panic. I'm going to introduce all these to you one by one. So we've heard this word, clause, relative clause. But what is a clause? Well, if you're aware that a text contains many different paragraphs, and in one paragraph it contains different sentences, and sometimes with shorter sentences a very, very short sentence or an incomplete sentence, we can call it a clause. And if we break down into smaller parts to look at it, we can see that a clause can compose of several phrases. So phrases are like words, several words together. And then, of course, we go back to the smaller unit. That would be a word. So let's go vice versa. One word. And then if we have more than one word, we can call that a phrase. And if we have more phrases together, a short sentence, we can call it a clause. And then if we have a longer sentence with more words, we call it a sentence. And with several sentences together, it's a paragraph. And paragraphs combined together will be a text. So this is the structure of English language. And if we say relative clause, of course, it is a clause. Like that, who is 25 years old? But you can see that this clause here cannot stand alone. It is not a complete sentence yet. It has more than one word, of course. Several words combined together to form this clause, but it's still not a complete sentence yet. If we want to make it a complete sentence, we need to give a subject to it. My neighbor is 25 years old, then this is a complete sentence. That's why the underlined part, WH word part, is called a clause, because it's not a complete sentence yet, it's not a full sentence yet. So it is called a clause. So relative clause, the clause here means a small part of the sentence, not a complete sentence yet. And you can consider relative here as a name first. We'll explain all these later on. But this is relative clause. Remember, if you see these three things together, the WH word, combining two sentences together to give extra information, we can consider that as relative clause. So let's practice. Let's see if you can identify relative clause from this paragraph. And this paragraph is adapted from Wikipedia about Parasite, the best picture film in Oscar 2020. So Parasite is a 2019 South Korean black comedy thriller film which stars Song Kang-ho, Lee Sun-kyun, Choi Yeon-jong, Choi Woo-sik, Park Seon-dam, and Jang Hyun-ji. It is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Han Jin-woon. It follows the members of a poor family who plan to become employed by a wealthy family. Can you see the relative clauses here? Let's check the answers. Yes, if you can find the WH word, basically the rest of it should be the relative clause. Parasite is a 2019 South Korean black comedy thriller film which stars the celebrity. So this phrase, the underlined part, is a relative clause. To give you extra information, to combine two sentences into one, it is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Han Jin-woon. So who, WH word, and then the rest of it, combine two sentences into one and to give extra information. And the last one, it follows the members of a family who plan to become employed by a wealthy family. So you can see the WH word who, and then the rest of the phrase is combining two sentences to one and to give you extra information about the poor family. So all these are relative clauses. So remember, the original sentence is Parasite is a 2019 South Korean black comedy thriller film, full stop. It stars blah blah blah. So if we see WH word, combining two sentences to one and to give you extra information about the film, then this is a relative clause. So here, two sentences. It is directed by Bong Joon-ho, full stop. He also co-wrote the screenplay with Han Jin-woon, full stop. So if we combine these two sentences together with the WH word who, and it gives extra information about the director Bong Joon-ho, then this is a relative clause. It is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Han Jin-woon. So the underlined part is a relative clause because you can see WH word. It combines two sentences into one and it gives extra information about Bong Joon-ho, the director. So this is a relative clause. The last example, two sentences. It follows the members of a poor family, full stop. The members plan to become employed by a wealthy family, full stop. So if we use the WH word who to combine these two sentences together, it will become It follows the members of a poor family who plan to become employed by a wealthy family. So it has the WH word combining two sentences together, and it also gives extra information about that poor family, the members of the poor family who plan to become employed. So this is a relative clause. So remember this checklist. If you see WH word combining two sentences into one, giving extra information, that is a relative clause. So that's it. I hope after watching this video, you will be able to at least identify a relative clause from sentences or paragraph. And this is all you need to do after watching this video. For the rest, stay tuned and watch my other videos coming next. Bye!